Today is 8th of May. Market trade an range bar with average volume up less than a point to close at 2591. Now this is our third rally, alright, which is much weaker than the previous two, so we got to be careful. Immediate resistance is at this high here of 2633. Support remain at 2500. Now we got to be mindful that this is still part of a counter trend. Notice we have a very severe sell down, so this counter trend is considered quite mild, particularly the blue chips. Mentioned in the last videos that the stronger sectors happens to be the manufacturing stocks. Now this is AAM. After breaking the resistance, we have a brief pullback here, and it broke out just before the holidays, but didn't close that well. And this morning it actually kept up and closed very well with very high volume. So this is overextended. So if taken the trade earlier, it's important to lock in some profit. Notice the daylight is extremely huge, and we actually closely manage the balance position. This is high P. Notice after the shallow pullback, it actually broke with a very nice thrust bars, and the last three bars are trading with small body, so it does show lack of commitments. Nevertheless, it's still considered stronger than many of the stocks. So again, if you have a stock like this, it's important to actually lock in partial profits and trail the balance position. Frankens, similarly, this stock has a gap up. This is a contraction breakout. Close, I won't say exactly high, but it's above the midpoint. So again, if you have missed the trades, look for pullback, look for new setup. Now the rest of the manufacturing stocks have not actually made a high yet. This is UMS. Notice we have very nice breakouts, and the following days we have a pullback. This happens across the markets, and right now it's just inching up. Okay, I would like to see whether eventually it actually can break this high here of 835. Now today it actually trade a reversal bar despite the gap. Likewise for Valuetronic. Notice quite similar patterns. Today after the gap up did not actually close very well. Again, we'd like to see how it turn out. Eventually take out this high here of 65 cents. Now let's take a look at some of the stocks we'll be discussing. This is Sheng Siong. After a nice run-ups followed by pullback, and managed to actually break the high. So again, look for pullback and look for a new setup. XGX appeared to be quite challenging, but let's take a look. After this break on the upside, we have extension bar followed by our deep corrections. Today kept up but didn't close well. Stocks likely to actually start in the trading range, so we just have to take note of that, give it some time. Now, a stock we rarely discuss is Kitchen Culture. This stock has a nice run up, and here we have a gap and currently pulling back. Notice the daylight is huge, so right now it's pulling back. Now it may have to absorb the recent gain, so it may well trade sideways, close out the daylight. I'd like to eventually see break this high here of 24 cents. Now let's turn our attention to medical stocks. This is MedTech. This was a stock we actually traded in January, if we can remember, and of course 20 cents is the psychology resistance. Now yesterday have a gap up, and today follow through, and it hit a high here of 193 and began to retrace, closing off high. Now obviously there are a lot of trap buyer over here, so we just have to take note of that. Look for pullback here and look for a break on the upside. Basically, we're running on the momentum built in this gap. Now, Biolytic was a stock that we ran much earlier. Notice a very deep corrections, and right now it's turning small bar. So again, it may well continue like this. We just have to be patient to wait for the consolidations to be completed. Now, this is IX Biopharmaceutical. Notice we have a very huge extension bar here, and right now it's absorbing the gain by trading sideways. Again, we need patience to wait for it to complete, and the daylight may well close up. Again, look for a break on the upside above 335. Another stock is actually Riverstone. Notice today gap ups and closed very well. It's actually testing this high here of 130. So again, we look for pullback here and look for setups to go long. Now, usually first attempt at the recent high here may not get through, so likely to pull back. Pullback will present us opportunity to look for setups to go long.